Well, everything came out beautiful, and then I started sanding and noticed this. And I know what happened. There was a chunk of dried glue. It ended up under the veneer, and as I started sanding, it sanded through. No big shake. Let's fix this. Now, it's a bit of a bummer that the problem area is in two different areas, the sky and the cactus. More of a challenge, but still doable. I started by taking a small chisel and trying to cut some of that loose, but then I realized the joining areas were bonded, so let's use the shaper origin, yeah? So I started by setting up a grid going off the left and the front edge, and I set the units to 1/32 of an inch or 0.031. All right, now that I have everything adjusted to the 32nd as far as my X and Y, I can put this on air cut and drop the bit down. And I can visually look in there with a flashlight and say, yeah, I like that position. We can retract, bring it back up. And you can see I have this set at 10 thousandths offset. So I'm cutting inside the line. You can see that little blue dot, that's my first air cut. That's my second air cut. So I'm simply just gonna cut through here and around. That way I don't mess up any of this. I have a razor blade cut all the way across here, so I'm not taking, I don't want to cut all this out. I want to start small, cut more if I need to, but yeah. Now, I don't want to cut too deep because that would make it hard to do the inlay. And you can see I'm at 12 thousandths depth. And even though this veneer is about 23 thousandths, but it's been sanded, so things happen quickly in this micro world of veneer. So you have to really watch that. Now, there may be a better way to pinpoint exactly where this file went, but the edge of the file isn't the edge of this particular cactus. So I set it up in a grid of 1/32. That way, when I did an air cut, I could see where I was at and then make slight adjustments. And of course, everything looked good as an air cut, so made that first cut. And then I simply started adjusting closer and making smaller offsets till I got, all that black cactus cut out of the way. And you can see here I missed a little at the top, but I didn't want to take any chances. I thought I can work with that. That's not too bad. And in this shot, you can see what I was talking about by going too deep. But yeah, it'll still work. And check this out. Fortunately, I was able to find the offcut of the sky, which means the color and the grain and everything is going to be perfect for this little repair. And you can see how I just made a little triangular cut. I think that'll blend better with the grain, right? And I'm just going to do this by eye. The sky piece I cut just by eye, and I'll cut the inlay piece with a chisel by eye as well. I apologize, my paw is in the way there. Triangular cuts for repairs like this are ideal because if the taper isn't right or the angles aren't right, you can slightly adjust them, and you're just simply moving it in, which helps make it tight as well. And I think the angles look correct, so I'm going to cut a little bit of the material off. We'll glue it in and then cut it exactly where it needs to migrate to the cactus. Now, I thought the cuts from the sharp chisel would be fine, but I thought I would refine them just a little bit with this block of sandpaper. I believe this is 220 grit, and you just want to put a slight angle, very slight. It's called an undercut. That way, the top portion of that veneer contacts the inlay area first. That makes sense, yeah? Well, that little dude fit perfectly, so I added some glue, clamped it. I like to record my time. I can work on something else, come back in an hour or so, remove the clamps. The tape I had used to put on the triangle piece first and then pull it tight. Yeah, man, I think that's going to work. And you can see how it was left big, glued in place, and then we'll cut it flush. So you have to exercise a little bit of patience when working with little details like this. And there's one of my shop-made chisels. It's a 1/16 of an inch wide. That way I can get into that tight little acute area. Did you hear that? I think Lima's hungry. And clean that all up. Now we just need to cut the inlay part. Notice that dark part on the cactus, and I'm matching that with this inlay piece. I've got it marked with this white graphite. You know, I'm cutting this inlay piece anyway, so it doesn't take any more time to find that grain and line it up, and all those details add up to make a better blend. So here I'm just trying to line up that grain and the cactus file. See how I've got that marked? And there's probably a better way, and I don't know. If there is, shaper guys, let me know. But this worked. And you can see that I am on the outside of the cut, no offset. And originally I cut it with a -0.002 offset, so it's slightly bigger, so it should fit. And then also I made it plenty big, or long I should say, so I can just cut that angle by hand. Now this could have been cut by hand, but that would have been much more challenging and not near as fun. I didn't like that first inlay, so I cut another one. And here you can see I've put some tape down and then used a ruler with a fine pencil line to make a line, and that corresponds with where the veneer inlay needs to be cut. See here, now I can put the inlay piece in place and then transfer that pencil line across that inlay piece. Then I simply used a scalpel and a ruler to make the cut. Incidentally, on the cavity, I did it the same way, ruler and a scalpel. And if you look closely, you can see that grain line lining up pretty well. Of course, you'll need a clamping cowl, block of wood with some clear tape. What I have here is a piece of plastic, polypropylene, polystyrene, something like that. I love this stuff. No glue that I've ever used will bond to it. And I believe the, what is it, UHMW, ultra high molecular weight stuff, I believe that's similar material. All right, this has nothing to do with the repair, but I'm showing it to you anyway. So on the back of the frame, I routed a rabbet, and of course it has round corners. Now, I could have marked this out, but I believe doing things like this is a good practice. It trains the hand-eye coordination to see that corner that I'm sanding and make it fit. So the radiuses on the frame were probably a 1/4 inch. Yeah, I think I used a 1/2 inch bit, so probably a 1/4 inch radius. And after decades of doing this, I can make them fit straight away. Boom. Now here's an interesting tip for you. If you're using veneers that are dyed, a waterborne based finish is a pretty good idea because it's very clear. Lacquers and, you know, oil or urethane finishes, those will tend to amber something. So if you're using maybe natural colors, it could be a good idea for that. So just keep those tips in mind. Now it's easy to see that repair because we've been focused on it, yeah? But in the right light, it completely disappears. People that I've shown this to and then showed them the repair, they never saw it. So it's kind of a fool in the eye sort of thing. Anyway, here's a finished project, and as always, thanks a ton for watching.